embroidery kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour, and we work on projects all the way through from beginning to end, so you can be part of the whole process along the way. So thanks again for joining me. We are continuing the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt along, and we are starting a new block tonight. We're starting the octopus block. So there we are. It is all raw edged applique, so we will go over that process. You can do it differently. You can do it needle turn applique if you want, but what we'll be doing here is a raw edge applique. So, all right, I'm gonna flip you around and we'll get going on this. I think this will be a lot of prep for this, but then I think it'll be just fun. We'll just get to stitch it all down. So, all right, I'm gonna flip you around and we'll get going. Thank you for joining me. Alrighty. Hello everyone. See you all popping in. Thank you for joining me again here. So this is by Rob Apple. This is the cute little octopus block. There we are, a little closer. You can see there is a lot of fun little stitching happening there. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. So we are, the instructions, or the applique pieces are on one of the fold-outs. So let's see. Oh, it must be on the opposite side. Gosh, we haven't done that one yet. We haven't done a lot of them. All right, there we are. There's the octopus. So you'll notice that it is in reverse. And that is what we want for raw edge applique, the reverse. We also have a bunch of numbers on here, and I believe, if I had to guess, that's the order that we put down the pieces. And we're going to take a little look at that as well. So just because this is a big honking piece of paper here, I made a photocopy. I actually made 2 photocopies just in case I needed the extra. So there we go. Here is my photocopy for it. So one thing, well, let's just read the instructions. Trace the patterns onto fusible web. All right, so there's that. Fuse the shapes onto the wrong side. From the applique placement guide and the photo positioning. Okay, so I'm gonna do one little extra step that I think might be helpful. Oh, hopefully I'll be able to see through. We maybe won't do this step yet, but something I want to do is I might trace this onto, at least roughly, onto my background fabric. So for me, you know, they used a bright blue background fabric, or a navy blue. I might use the white, just because we've determined with my particular quilt that anytime there is an opportunity of an obvious background, I am going to use white, because that's the primary color with mine. So I'm going to iron off a piece here, and we'll start by trimming an approximate like 7-inch square. So we're doing, you know, we end up with the 6.5-inch squares, but we are going to cut this. I'm going to let this warm up a little bit more. We're going to cut it to 7 inches, just because with applique, kind of what I was talking about last night with quilting, all the handling and the sewing kind of pulls at the fabric, and then that can make the edges pull in a little bit, so we might lose some of that 6.5 inches, and just all the handling. Especially if you're doing a needle turn applique instead of the raw edge applique, you'll definitely want that little bit of an extra. All right, I don't think that's getting it any better right now. Let's cut ourselves a square out of here. And again, I only need this to be a rough square. So I'm actually going to, let's see. I'll get the big square out. I was hoping to avoid avoid this guy. I don't like using this ruler as much, but it is bigger than my 6.5. Oh, Jennifer says make it 7.5, just to be on the safe side. Okay, I will do that. Again, it doesn't really matter if I make it a lot bigger, because we're still going to center the design and we're still going to trim it down to that 6.5 inches when we're done. So, all right, I'm going to not, I mean, this looks pretty dang square. I'm not going to worry about that. And like I said, we will cut it down. So I'm not going to bother with that. So, all right. And remember, ultimately, we only need 6.5 inches when this is done. So this little bit of extra it's not going to affect anything with the design, really. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm doing like a rough 7.5 here. All right. There we go. The light box would help. So I'm going to try and do it without the light box tonight because I have this white fabric and I think that's going to work fine, but that might be a mistake. So I might, if this doesn't work, we'll move on to the next step and then do stuff tomorrow. But, oh yeah, that's going to be hard to see. I'm going to need it reversed. Yeah, let's see here for a sec. Yeah, I don't think I have the light table near me. So what I'm going to do is we'll do that part tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to get the light table and we'll flip it so it's the correct, because remember, this is the reverse. We need it this way when it's ultimately going to be on our piece. And I'm going to actually trace some of the bits onto my fabric to make it a little bit easier, but we'll do that tomorrow. So I have my piece of fabric ready to go, and we'll just set this guy off to the side as a little reminder. See, because when it's like this, I can see through it just fine. But, you know, I don't need the, I need the reverse of that. So we're going to move on to looking at these pieces. So we need to trace every single one of these little pieces. There's a whole pile of them. We need to trace them onto our lightweight fusible web. So I'm using the Steam-A-Seam 2. I think this is going to work especially well for this project because this has a sticky side to it. So this acts like a sticker. So not only will it fuse down, but while we wait to fuse it, it will stick like a sticker. So we can place everything in place, move them around, and I can even move the fabric around, and it's not the paper around, and it's not going to, or my final piece around, and it's not going to move anything because it has a sticker. So I think the Steam-A-Seam 2 is going to be especially good. Otherwise, you might have to press a little bit at a time. I think I'm going to be able to press it all at once because of the sticker part of this. So, okay, let's start gathering our pieces. So I'm going to grab a sheet out of here. This is a good opportunity to use these smaller, goofy pieces as well. Okay, I think I'm going to trace onto, let's see, what side is easier to come off? I always forget. All right, I'm going to trace onto the light colored side. If you're using Steam-A-Seam 2, there's one side that has this yellow. I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to trace onto here. If you are using a normal lightweight fusible, one side will have that kind of glue surface, and one side will have a paper-based surface. You'll want to put the glue surface down and trace onto the paper-based one. So I'm going to grab a pencil. I'm just kind of declaring, since this has paper on both sides, that this is the paper side and this is the glue side here. So we have so many pieces here. I'm gonna sit down and we'll zoom right in. I'm gonna start with my little scrap here, and it looks like we can kind of go in order here just to make sure that we get everything. I might actually number them just like how they are numbered here. to make sure. So when you're tracing your pieces for applique, raw edge applique onto the fusible, you'll want to leave a little bit of an edge around. So what I mean by that is, let's start from 17 and work our way down. So I'm not going to go right up against the edge here. Like you can see my circle there. I'm not going to go right up against the edge. I want to get a little bit, I want to have a little bit of an edge, like at least 1/8 of an inch. And that is the case also for pieces being next to each other. So this is going to be a lot of prep with all this tracing, but it's going to go pretty quick once we have these pieces together. So I'm going to just label this 17. There we go. So let's do 16. That's just how I'm going to keep everything in order, I think. You know, I could just, I'm going to put a little check mark by that too, actually. This is one where keeping track of things is probably important. All right, so I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch from the 17 piece and another 1/8 of an inch, give or take, for the 16. So I have a bit of a gap in between. And that's because when we put this onto our fabric, we are going to want an edge around it. Because we don't want to cut out this perfect shape and then try and cut our fabric to that exact size. What we're going to do is cut these pieces a little bit bigger, stick them onto the fabric, and then cut them both down smaller at once. That'll make it a bit easier, or it'll give us a perfect clean edge. I am trying to be careful tracing this though. I don't want to be too sloppy because these are ultimately going to be the lines that I'm cutting on. So I want it to be perfect. Gina, this already is reversed. So if you look at it here, there, see the octopus is coming the other direction compared to this. So the instructions have been pre-reversed for us. So we don't need to reverse it. However, if you are doing a different style of applique, like if you're doing a needle turn applique, for example, you will want to flip this. But for what we're doing, this raw edge applique, we aren't going to have to do that. Oh, I should have put some of those little guys up here. Oh well. Okay, let's do these 12 and 13s. So see, these are right next to each other. We need to separate those when we trace them. So let's do this 13 first. Stick with going one at a time. And I'm leaving, you know, that bit of a gap here. These are fun shapes. All right. There's definitely a lot happening here. So one concern, you know, I'm trying to think ahead a little bit. And one concern, or one thing I think issue we may have is that these pieces are going to be like heavily layered, right? So we're going to have the background fabric, you know, this fabric, you know, pieces layered on top of pieces. Plus, each of those pieces is going to have this interface, or this fusible web, right? So that'll be like having, you know, 6 or 7 layers of thickness on this guy. So I would not recommend trying to do any hand stitching with this if you're using this method, just because it is going to be very difficult to stitch through with your hand. Like, I think that might cause some injury. So I would not recommend that. So this is going to be all sewing machine for me. If you do needle turn applique, then go for it, because you're not going to have this fusible at all. Needle turn applique, you're just using fabric, so that won't be a problem for that. Okay, 12, 11. Ooh, this is an odd shape. how's this working? It's all of this, and then it kind of loops down here, almost like a figure 8, but doesn't quite connect. Is that right? I just want to see what it looks like on here. Oh yeah, so it's this piece here. It does do that. Huh, all right. I think what it's supposed to look like, it's supposed to look like this leg is kind of coming down and connecting to this leg, and then this leg is going up underneath, sort of thing. But it is all one piece here. So let's see, I might just be able to get it in this little space here. All right, again, I need to leave that little bit of an edge. We'll get this middle area first. So one thing you can do, if you use the machine, then get a Teflon needle. Oh, they make them, and it works great with applique. Oh, Gretchen, okay, that's a good suggestion. I don't think I've ever used a Teflon needle before. I've heard that people like them, though. One thing, and I think Pat Sloan, she's the person who started the Splendid Sampler, one of the people, she does a lot of raw edge applique, and I believe a technique she likes using is she will trace all her pieces, but she'll ultimately cut out the middle area of the fusible, and that makes it so that the fusible isn't, super duper thick. It only is on the edges. But these pieces are all so little that I don't think we're going to do that. The only piece it might work for is the big main piece, and maybe some of this coral or whatever. But I think we're going to skip that step. We'll just stick these down and sew right through. All right, so this part goes off into the seam allowance. So I don't think we need to be perfect there. All right, that's 11. I'm going to just put a little underline there, too, so I know what side's up. Oh, tentacles. Yep, tentacles, not legs. All right, that was 11. 10. Okay, now this is a goofy shape, too. So something that you're going to notice here, there are these dotted lines. And what that means is it's a shape behind another shape. So let's try and find it here. Okay, so it's this number 4 shape, this main octopus shape. See, the tentacle is coming up here and then going around here. And then, ooh, then where does it go? 4. Oh, it looks like maybe it just, it comes up here. Yeah, so it comes down here, goes up here, and then comes back around up to here, it looks like. Yep. So what it just means is it's behind another shape. So yeah, this number 10, we got to watch this shape a little because it's a little goofy. So we just have to follow it. And then we should be fine. But there's dotted lines on this too because it goes behind this little coral piece. All right. Does that fit on here? I might need to start that on a bigger piece. And actually, I'm going to draw in this line. I know it's a dotted line. I have that other printout that I can use, but just because I don't have my light table, it's a little hard to see that dotted line. I'm going to just go like that. Okay. I think I might just had enough space for this. There we go, right like that. I think it fits. Ooh, it is a goofy shape though. Let's see if we can do it. Some thin lines in here that we're gonna have to watch when we cut. And you know what? I'm gonna get that other paper. I'm going to get this nearby just to reference to make sure I don't mess it up. I'm just using a normal pencil here for this, and that's it. Oh, this is the inside part that loops around. All right, we're going down like this here. There we go. So yeah, I'm just using a mechanical pencil here. Nothing fancy. I do want, you know, a good sharp pencil because I don't want my line to be thick. All right, this is that part that is behind that other piece, ultimately. Okay, there, got that little squirrely bit done. Now the rest should be more straightforward. This will be really fun placing them all, I think, and seeing what we end up with. So a lot of prepping. So tonight I think this might be all the farther we get, outlining all these pieces. Maybe we'll start cutting them out. But yeah, with raw edge applique, there's a lot of beginning stuff before you get to the fun part, I think. All right, 10, we got some oddballies in here. I think what's gonna help though, I'm gonna underline this one too, is I am kind of, even though I'm moving them around a lot when I trace, I do have that number written on there, so I do know like what side is up ultimately, especially on some of these shapes where it'll be hard to find again. All right, 10 is done. This is part of 10 over here. 9. Okay, we got another goofy, loopy bit. Okay, so this 9 goes behind this coral. Again, I'm just going to draw this line on here to make it easier for me to trace. It looks like it gets skinny and then bloops up big again. There we go. And this is not the 9 piece. This is for that 3. So all right, so here's the shape here. Kind of squeezes in here, and then it finishes. It's like the bottom part of the tentacle or something. All right, and I think we're pretty much done with this little piece. We've gotten what we can out of there. So I'm gonna grab. Oh, this other piece is a used one too. Good. Oops, stuck. So we're using up some older, some used pieces here. That's great. Oh, this was used for the sun, I believe. All right, we'll go up in this corner. Oh, Bonnie, that's exciting. Good luck. Good luck. All right, 9. I'm tucking it right in here. Let's start with that weird area. Kind of jumps up here, then kind of continues that tentacle. Ooh, what colors are we going to use for everything? So this is going to be part of the trick. Oh, you guys, I do think this is a 5 block. So every 5 blocks, I add a little bit of color in. I'm using all those really pale yellows and tans and whites. But every 5 blocks, I add a teeny bit of color. So we could add some color in this block. I don't quite know where. All right, number 9. All right. So we'll have to think about that. 9, 8. Oh, over here. Okay, so this is just one little chunk. I think it is going to be really helpful that I'm writing these numbers on upright. No matter how I squiggle them around here. Yeah, I don't know where this best fits. Just choose. How about right there? Okay. Lots of funny shapes in this. So this just goes off the page. Yeah, we just run into the seam allowance here. So I'm just gonna go up like that. And shimmy back down. Does this have dotted lines? Okay, so I suspect, I suspect there's meant to be dotted lines here somewhere. So do we think that this number 8 goes behind? I kind of suspect it does. I think there should be a little dotted line here as if this part of the tentacle goes behind the main part of the body. If we look at the original picture, I'm trying not to move because I'm tracing still. You know, it looks like, you know, I don't know. It looks like this might go, it looks like this whole leg is kind of behind the main body, right? So let's actually do that. Let's put it behind the main body. And to do that, you know, we want that little overlap in. So I'm going to add that. We're going to add just a hair overlap in this. There we go. And I'm going to put an 8 on there with that line underneath. And I'm actually, oh yeah, so I did mark that we went around a little bit. There should be, anytime you have something overlapping another thing, you should see those dotted lines. And nothing is going to match up so perfectly that I don't think it was intended to have this piece and then this piece perfectly match up like a puzzle piece right in there. There has to be some overlap. So right here, and I'm noticing right here as well, this number 6, this is like a tentacle that looks like it's supposed to go behind the head and even behind this number 8. So I suspect that this should be a dotted line that connects, this is number 6, that connects to this area down here, right? And then I think this is behind number 8. So I'm going to extend it behind number 8 a little bit as well, like that. You see what I did there? So I'm going to trace number 7 first, but I suspect that is the case here. All right, number 7. I got a little weird fold in here, but I don't think that's going to matter. This is starting to look like some weird quilting design, isn't it? Oh, you had so much trouble tracing that you didn't think it was going to go together right. Yeah, I think this numbering is going to help me a lot. Like a lot more. Like I wasn't, you know, that was just an off the cuff idea, but now that I'm tracing all these too, I think it really is going to be helpful. So I'm writing that 7, putting that line underneath so I know that's, you know, relatively upright. And that's why I think it's going to be good to trace this at least partially onto our fabric. Like I might not trace every single, like this 7, I might not trace all these little bits on, but I do maybe want to get the main piece traced on. So at least I have the main piece in the right spot, and then I'll be able to kind of see where to put the other pieces, I think. All right, 6 again. So 6 is where, right here, where I added that line behind the head, and I added it behind this number 8 as well. I don't think they were in the pattern. Well, they weren't in the pattern, but I suspect they should be. So I'm going to add those little areas. But again, I'm going to just make them a little bit darker so I can see through my paper here. Gosh, it's hard to tell where they end. I think right there. What a funny shape. Remember, we still need to leave our space behind, or like next to all of these. I'm getting kind of tight. I should stop that. All right. This funny little guy up here. And here's where it's going behind the head. This is that part that I drew in myself, and now we're back out front again. And again, here is that overlap that I added till about right there. And now it's our normal arm again. Okay, so 6. I'm gonna underline that so I know it's not a 9. Okay, there we go. All right, I think we're doing well. 5, where is 5? Oh, way over here. like, did they forget 5? It's hanging out there. Can I fit that guy in here yet? I think I just can. Good. All right. And probably a little bit more. So many silly shapes. This is going to be odd cutting all these out too. So we're going to need cutting it out. We have to cut these actually twice. So the first time we cut just roughly around and we don't cut exactly on the line, and then we put it on our fabric. And then once it's on fabric, that's where we cut it just perfectly. So that is where we're going to really, really, really pay attention to the cutting. And that's why I'm going kind of slow on this tracing, because it's the same thing. I'm going to be cutting right on the tracing. Like, the tracing should be the perfect lines, right? And so should the cutting, that second cut once there's fabric on it. So I'm trying to be careful with this tracing, and I'm going to be extra careful with that cutting once it's on the fabric. All right, that is what, 5? Look at all these squiggles. All right, 5. Oh, and 4 is the big area now. Oh, all these other ones are pretty large. So let's see. I'm gonna stand up a little bit. Get a little bit higher here. So 4 is our large octopus area. This will be a little tricky. So I'm going to just trace some of these parts again. So right here, 4 comes down and then up, and then it actually goes behind this 10 piece a little bit. So this part's tricky. I'll probably do this first. Then it comes up here and then back around. So I think that's the trickiest area. Yeah. Okay, there we are. So I think I'm just going to go right up like this. Ugh, this does have this little weird fold in it. Yeah, I can shimmy that down. Okay. Oh, I need to get that area up there. Oh, and I need to get this over there too. All right, I think we're good now. I think I got it all. So let's just start. Like I said, let's start with that awkward part. All right, so it's part of this leg. So we're gonna extend. We're gonna do this part. And again, I'm gonna have this guy near me to kind of remind me where to go. All right, yeah. We squiggle up here. Then now we're on the dotted line, and the dotted line goes behind that number 10 to here. Then we're in front again, and it boops up here. All right, then we're kind of behind this number 10 again, just barely. Come up there. All right. I think we've got it now. And then on all these other shapes, where it kind of meets up with another number, I think we just stay on the outer edge of it all. Ooh, this is going to take a while to trim out, though, isn't it? We can do it. Actually, I don't really need to trim around into all these areas because, like, we need to just stick it on fabric, and I'm not going to save like a little piece of fabric by getting it to not have the fusible on. So we might actually cut this out a little rougher than what I was even expecting. So that's good. That'll make it easy. All right, we have another tentacle area come up. So yeah, so I'm not doing this tiny area for the 4. I'm assuming that this number 5 piece is kind of overlapping is overlapping the number 4, but actually now that I think of it, I wonder if we should be treating this number 4 as just a little bit of an overlap again, like if I dotted line this out, because then we wouldn't have all the thickness of putting the number 5 piece on here. I think, so what I was originally thinking is, oh, number 4, the big background goes all the way the same size as number 5, and then number 5 just gets placed on it. But I don't think we actually need to go that far. We only need to go underneath this number 5 a little bit. You know, same with this number, same with all of these really, but, you know, really just to make it easy, it's probably just easier to use the actual shape. Then it'll be easy to place things on later. I'm going to just keep the actual shape. But technically, you wouldn't need to. You would only need a little bit of that overlap. So if you want to save a little bit of fabric or a little bit of, you know, who knows, just do a little bit. But I think for ease of mind, it'll be so much easier to place this number 5 on top of a full number 4 piece, if that makes sense. So we'll draw the whole bit out. But again, I don't think we really needed to. Yeah, it's just going to add a lot of extra layers. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think we need to do this. I don't know. What do you guys think? You want it thicker to look 3D maybe? That's a good point, Terry. I think that's true. It would look a little bit more 3D because we'd have a whole extra layer of fabric here. I think because this is so ornate and kind of tricky, I'm going to err on the side of making it easier for my brain. How about that? And easier for my brain is just sticking the on-top pieces right on top of it and not trying to figure out all the little layers. So we're going to just trace the whole outer bit of this. But like I said, even here, like there's that number 7 piece goes on top of here. I don't really need to layer a whole number 4 piece underneath it like I am. But it would make it a whole lot easier to place that piece, that number 7 piece. So we're going for easy. All right, here's where it's gonna now overlap that 6 piece. So that'll be interesting. We'll have to remember to put those 2 pieces down underneath this octopus. Maybe that's why it was designed like this, to not have those be underneath, to just kind of puzzle piece fit into them, just because I think it's probably easiest to put down this octopus first. But I don't know. This is a goofy one because sometimes the octopus is on top of something and sometimes it's underneath something. So all the more, yeah, I can see why some of you were talking about this is hard to lay it all down. So I'm going to totally recommend even more now this Steam-A-Seam 2. Like if you have not purchased a fusible yet, the Steam-A-Seam, I think you're going to realize real quick what makes it nice. The specific feature with the Steam-A-Seam 2 is that it has, it sticks like a sticker. So instead of having all these papers, like, flying everywhere, like these are going to kind of curl up a little bit and, you know, they're not going to be perfect. And you want to lay this all out, or like a lot of it out, and then press it down. That's going to be, you know, I'm going to just be able to stick it like a sticker down. And if a little piece needs to go underneath another piece, I can just lift it up, tuck it under, and it'll be so easy. And I think with a normal lightweight fusible, it'll be a little more difficult. If you are not using the Steam-A-Seam, then I think I would really recommend tracing your design. Remember, you have to flip it the other direction, but tracing the design onto your fabric, because then you'll be able to see, okay, this 2 piece has to go here and I can press it. You know, you could even, you know, like for example, like if I need to place this 2 piece underneath the octopus, but I want to place the octopus first because it's our main piece, I could press just a little bit and then leave the tentacle not press down, then press my number 2 piece, and then lay the number, this number 10 piece on top. I don't know. There's going to have to be some tricks for putting this together, but I think we will bypass a lot of that by using this Steam a Seam too, so I'm actually pretty happy about that right now. All right, 3, this is quite the piece as well. Lots of going behind things. Again, I'm just kind of tracing it so it's easier for me to see. So it only goes this far and then it cuts over. See here they don't want it overlapped so much, and then it comes back up top here. Whew, that's a goofy one. All right, let's see if we can fit that in here. Okay, yeah, that's goofy. All right, I think I got it. This seems like the hardest part for me here, so I'm gonna start there. Yeah, I mean, if you're on the fence with the Steam a Seam and you've used some other stuff before, wait till like tomorrow or Friday or whatever. We'll be continuing on this, and then you'll see it in action a little bit more. But I think, yeah, specifically for this project, the Steam a Seam is gonna have its bonus points. Ooh, I got right to the edge there. I'm glad I didn't go over. Such funny shapes. Yeah, I am not gonna bother cutting these very well on the first cut. So we'll waste a little bit of fabric, but it's only gonna be, you know, tiny little weird pieces that we probably wouldn't use anyway. You'll see what I mean once we get that far. Just thinking out loud. I need some more pencil. All right, here's where I'm behind the piece again. Behind other pieces. All right, and how far did I'm gonna start back up here because it gets a little goofy here. Oops, I think this goes in, yep. There, and then back out. And up, and then behind. So many lines. All right, we're almost done though. This is number 3. 3. Crazy. Steam a Seam 2 Light is the best. So yeah, I would recommend that. I have not used that yet, Mary, but when I'm out of this pack, which is going to be soon, I'm going to get the Light, because supposedly the light is much easier to like hand stitch through and stuff. Like I've tried to stitch through this by hand, and oh, that was horrible. I would not recommend that at all. So yeah, if you're gonna get some maybe out of the gate, get the Light. I got this weird bloop in here again. Okay, where does this one go? Gosh, this is just hard to see too. All right, it's this one kind of in the middle. All right, you know, having that extra printout, or just, you know, even having the design from the book laid out so you can see it. It really is helping me look at that other printout, just because there are so many lines here and it gets confusing when you're tracing. So just being able to glance up at that other piece to kind of know if I'm on the right lines has been nice. All right, now we're at the bottom here. And then it scoops back up. All right, that's number 2. And one more. All right. Let's see. this number 1. I'm going to try and do this right in the middle of this weird bloop here. Okay, where does this go again? This one is awfully weird too. Okay, so it goes up to here. And then what? It kind of meets up with this number 1. Oh, number 2, it goes this way. There we go. That's where it overlaps. We'll start there. It goes up here. There, then it appears on the outside just for a little, and it goes behind an arm or a tentacle and back up out. Ooh, it's a bit tricky, isn't it? All right, and there. Connect those lines and number 1. There we go. Phew, all right, you guys. You know, it's just tracing. It just took a little bit of time. Definitely doable. So, all right. Let's start trimming these. I think we have a little bit of time tonight. So what I'm going to do to trim, though, is I don't need... We'll start with this. I don't need everything to be perfect, right? So I'm going to just go around in the middle of these pieces. Oh, gosh, I'm already stuck on something. So I'm not going to worry that these aren't perfect circles or anything. I might waste a tiny little, I might waste 1/8 of an inch of fabric, but that is fine. Ooh, the trick is going to be keeping all these. I might actually get a little, here's a little extra. I might actually get just a wonder clip and start clipping these together so I don't lose them all. But yes, see there, I'm just roughly doing it. My number is up. I think that's really going to actually help me a ton. And then we'll have to start deciding on colors and everything for this. I'm not, the real important part here is that I'm not cutting on these lines yet. I just want to roughly cut around it. We're not going to cut on those lines until we have fused it to our first piece of fabric. There we go. Cute. All right, and you're going to want to put these in a safe spot too, because, yeah, any sneeze and these are all going down. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to clip them together. Yeah, so just real rough. We don't want to take tons of time. Oh, see, that's really fun. So Pat said, so Rob Apple, he's the guy that, this is his block. And he did if you go to his page for the Splendid Sampler, he did a large version of this, like a quilt size version. So he must have just enlarged it on a, like one of those plotter printers that like architects and stuff use. I think you can ask for that in like an Office Max. It's only like a couple dollars then. It's not like a giant, massive, expensive print. And then he probably did the big applique from that, which is pretty cool. It'd be fun. This would be fun, large size for sure. All right, so here you can see I am not getting picky with trimming this out. The only reason to do that is if you want to save that little piece of fabric on the inside from not having the sticky stuff on. But do I really need to save, a 1/4 inch circle of fabric? So I don't think so. So I'm not worrying about any of that. So you don't have to be all super perfect at this stage of this. You're not really going to be wasting any fabric. Same here. I'm not going to bother cutting into all that right now. That's just too much. That's fine, just like that. All these little pieces I'm just trying to keep out of my way so I don't think that there's any drawing on them. And those are so small that I'll probably get rid of those. All right, let's get this section. Oh, he only did the quilting, not the preparation. So did Did he hire someone to prep it? Or maybe he has an assistant that does that. That could be. Whoops, I almost cut into the other piece. That's why I didn't want to get too close. I'm going to just trim this a little bit more. There we go. Oh, yeah, I'm really very, very happy that I numbered these right onto the piece. That won't be there forever. Like, we're going to eventually take that paper off, but we won't be taking it off till right when we place it on our piece. Oh, he just didn't show the prep. That makes sense, Kathy. Yep, the prep's kind of boring. I appreciate you sitting through it with me, but I don't know, there's something fun about going through the whole process. But yeah, when you just want a quick show of technique, then it's best to just get right into it. Actually, so next month, I'm hoping to do a lot more video, like pre-made video stuff, and that will be faster, get to the point sort of thing, to just be different from what we do here at night. I mean, here we do all parts of the process. I think that's where the learning happens is, a lot of times just doing all of these little things is where some of those aha moments come from, like, putting those numbers on here. I think that's gonna help us so much later. And for me, this is all about learning, like these evenings. Whew. I'm gonna sneeze. Holy cow. Holding it off here. All right, that's good enough. I'm gonna just trim these little hard points off. All right, gosh, we might actually finish cutting these out. I was thinking this is gonna take forever, but since we can just rough cut them, it's not long at all. There we go. Yeah, this is kind of falling off of here a little, so yeah, this whole blip in the middle here, this is just a bad piece of this. So I'm glad we're done with it after this project. Start a fresh piece. There, again, I'm not going to bother cutting out that little circle or anything. We will later. Once this is on fabric, we'll really trim every single one of these curves just perfectly and all that. But right now, I'm just getting some bulk out of the way. There we go. So there's number 4. Okay, 2 more pieces. Oh, good. That's good to hear, Pat. I'm glad that was helpful. Yeah, that was a good call. I'm glad we did it that way. The Happy Trails block, by putting all those together in that chain, or that webbing style of chain piecing. Whew, that took a lot of the brain power away from it. That's nice. I'm with you, Arlo. We're getting there. All right, I'm just going to toss this piece. Normally I would keep it to use, but it has that weird bubble in it, and that's just causing me more pain than anything. So we're going to get rid of that piece. And again, I'm just being totally rough here. I don't need to trace over all this or cut out all that. There. That is that. I think... I'm not even going to really clip these. I think I'm just going to stick something heavy on top of them. I think that's how, and, no one's going to touch this for tomorrow, but if you do not have a space that will be uninterrupted, I would maybe grab all these and put them in a little container or something. Yes, like a sandwich bag. That's a perfect idea, Terry. Throwing it in a sandwich bag or something, because That would be a huge bummer to lose a piece. Another reason why I think the numbering is good, then we'll make sure that we've hit all of our pieces too. All right, you guys, but that is that. So an hour of tracing and cutting, but tomorrow we get to the fun stuff. Tomorrow we'll pick out some fabrics. We'll kind of lay these out by the fabrics as a little test. I don't know, there's so many different, we could do just a lot. You know, and I might pick my fabric as I go a little bit as well. So maybe, you know, the background I wanted white just because I'm going with white for all the backgrounds, even though this would have been really fun to use a color for the background. But maybe we'll pick our main colors. Like maybe we'll pick the octopus and just decide and just fuse it down, be done with it, decide on that, and then, you know, decide some of the other elements versus picking something for each little thing first. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we feel tomorrow when we work on that. But I'm excited. I mean, this is a big chunk done, this part here. So that's great. So, all right, you guys, we will continue this tomorrow. I'm going to flip you around. Oh, Rob Apple has a new YouTube channel called Make It Fun. Ooh, I will have to check that out, Noeline. Oh, fun. Which is the silicone mat that you... Oh, Nancy, I'm going to have to look at that comment a little bit more. All right, so we got pretty far on that tonight. I'm happy with that progress. This raw edge applique, there is just, you know, you just want to get sewing and get these pieces on, but, you know, there is this prep, but it is going to make it easier. I do really recommend this Steam-A-Seam 2, and I think I put a link for that, but I think it just goes to the Steam-A-Seam 2. If you want to look for that Steam-A-Seam 2 Light, I would recommend that. Oh, Nancy Applique. Okay, instead of applause. Yeah, the autocorrect doesn't like the sewing terms very much. Actually, you guys, this is just a random comment, but I have a Samsung phone, and that learns my sewing words so much faster than the iPhone does. My husband has an iPhone and I have a Samsung. I switched away from Apple just to see what it was like, and I do actually really like the text. It knows when I'm trying to say embroidery or embroideries or, you know, applique. It learns quick. So anyway, you guys, I will get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies. I did send an email out, so if you guys are on my email list, check your email. It's probably in your promotions folder. There is an email today. We are doing a special little sale, so there's more info there. If you're not on my newsletter yet, you can get on my website, penguinandfish.com. I'll be sure to put out another newsletter about the special sale later this week as well. So awesome! See you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening and good night.